Hey traders, happy Sunday. Hope you're doing well. On this video, or in every video we do on Sunday, we're going to be taking a look at some charts and some technical and fundamental trading setups for the week ahead. I wanted to start with the US dollar, so here we go. Take a look at what the dollar has been doing recently. We've seen this thing trending really well on like the daily chart. In fact, if we apply some simple moving averages, you can just see visually how strong this thing has been. The US dollar has been the safe haven currency of the world recently, or at least the most heavily favored, and people continue to buy this thing each time it dips. So we have to assume that in the context of a nice upward trend like this and a dip that's coming in, the dollar here looks like a potential buy in my personal opinion. Some levels to look out for is on the daily chart. If we zoom in here, we get a good look at price. You can see the 105.5 level. Looking left was a huge zone for sellers prior to the big breakout that we saw occur during early July, right around the 5th of July. So the request, or the question is, can the requested pullback here that we've finally been waiting for, can it actually materialize into a next leg higher on this overall dollar strength upward trend? I would say that the risk to reward for this looks really attractive. Now, there may be some more lower time frame trades that we can look at, but from a daily chart perspective, I think you start getting some really clean risk to reward. Looking at, just from the dollar itself, that's like a 3-to-1, if not better, just risking a certain move here for potential rally. So of course we're not going to trade DXY though. We're going to take a look at some individual currencies. But I look to the US dollar currency index to get an idea of how the dollar is faring against a basket of other major currencies like the yen, the euro, etc. So let's look first at EURUSD, a currency pair that I am personally bearish on and actively looking to pick up short positions on. So if we drop down to the 4-hour chart, I'll talk about this current situation that we see. Right now, we are in an overall downward trend, and we're still bullish on the US dollar. So as we come into a level, like for example here, I'm expecting this to remain bearish until further notice. Now, that's not a guarantee that this level is absolutely going to hold, but knowing that the overall US dollar strength has been very high, the Federal Reserve has been very, very hawkish, I am more favoring a sell setup in these areas than a buy setup. So for me, if this level pokes up in here, there could be opportunities to look to get short and to continue this overall downward trend that we have seen play out on the higher time frames. So I do like that, but let me give you one more idea. For those of you guys who are a little bit patient, if the euro does get a pop to the upside this week, let me show you guys another level that I've been waiting really, really long term on, 1.0405. I've been waiting for this for weeks to see if we could get a retest. Ever since we broke this area over here, July 5th, like I said, with that big spike on the dollar, I've been looking for a pullback to get into this zone where I could potentially short in favor of the higher time frames, speaking specifically of like the daily chart, right? So just like we saw US dollar strength, this is applied inversely to euro dollar. We're seeing euro dollar weakness as the euro has been beaten up quite a bit this year by the US dollar strength. Now, let's go back to the 4-hour chart. Again, in terms of technical setups, this is where we come into play, where we say, okay, well, we like this range bound. I'm still willing to short this thing from both a fundamental and a technical point of view. So the risk to reward here, in my opinion, looks really good. You have a potential move down to this level, and of course, also the idea of a continuation even past that level back down to the previous swing low, where we can probably expect, if this market was to continue, to head back to. Like first stop would be, of course, right here. But then longer term would be the idea of getting back to the previous low, and perhaps if the trend really continues, even beyond those lows. Now, if you know my trading style, you know I like to trail stops. So if this were to happen, what I'd be probably doing is following the price action with a trailing stop. And more on that later, but for now, we're just talking generally where I see the euro dollar going. I am bearish, but I'm also willing to take a second attempt should we make a move higher. So if we break out this week and we see rallies, like let's just say my idea here completely flops and we actually end up breaking out higher, perhaps we can look to try and trade again the euro dollar short up at 1.04. That's my personal opinion. That's how I'm approaching the euro dollar at this moment and what I am personally interested in. Now, I want to show you guys some stuff. I want to show you we just did some changes here this weekend. I was working on this quite a bit on the Edge Finder. We've done some redecorating and some tweaking of the tool. But I wanted to show you guys a little bit of the week ahead where the scans are looking. So we do have things like Swiss yen up at the top. And I want to show you this. This is really interesting. We have a resurgence here of S&P 500, US30, UK100, and JP225. Those are the index for, or the indices for major stock markets around the world. Knowing that these markets are coming up as a high favored buy trade on the edge finder, to me, is a signal that we could be having a risk on swing coming our way, which is a huge deal considering that we haven't had these up on the list. And the last time they were up there, we made some good money trading the indices long, buying stocks, things like that. So it's good to see them back up on the list, and perhaps we have a bit more upside. We'll take a look at that actually now in reference to this. And let me also, I'll make sure to elaborate this in just a second, but let me just talk about this. So for the S&P 500, we had a big breakout last week. And this, to me, signals that we have what seems to be a potential bottom for now, right? At least, at the very least, what we can see is that we found a huge set of buyers down in this area. We found consistent buying since then, and keynote, we have been breaking and retesting structure beautifully. Look at this. We broke, we retested, and we shot through to the upside the end of the week last week. So if we do get retests, perhaps this week or sometime soon, to me, there's opportunities to potentially look to get long on a retest of support. So for example, something like this, the 61.8% retracement looks really attractive for buys, in my personal opinion, with a bit of a risk on swing moving into the markets. And not just in the US, but also things like JP225, which I just mentioned, also having a healthy resurgence and looking potentially bullish as well. So I like the indices, and we can also flip the script and see what's up here on the short side of things. If we flip that around, we could see what the scores are on the other end of things, and make sure this is, there we go. You could see some really a lot of sell signals coming in coming into this week. We have EURNZD as a sell, which goes with our risk on sentiment. NZD CHF, EUROCAD, NZD JPY, dollar Swiss. So very interesting. We have an interesting list of change ups of assets on this list. Now, if you're unfamiliar about what this tool is, this is our market scanner. We use several different metrics. We have seasonality, trend strength, GDP growth, inflation, unemployment, interest rates, etc. And all of this is factored into our scanner to generate ideas or biases across the board on a huge selection of different markets. We built this for currency traders. This is something that we've invested tens of thousands of dollars into building, and it's been going really well. We've had a lot of people who are really interested in this tool. We also have the Smart Money Tracker, which shows us what institutional positioning is looking like for major assets. Take a look at the US dollar, which has a high level of interest from long positions from non-commercial big players in the markets. We also have US oil, we have gold, and NAS up there. And NAS showing up is interesting because that's a new one to enter the playing field here, with the NASDAQ 100 coming in as a strong buy. On the flip side, we have GBP heavily shorted, CHF, AUD, and JPY heavily shorted. So very interesting to see that coming into the week ahead. So that can help us align our positionings a little bit better, or at least consider some things. So yeah, big stuff there for sure. Back to the score chart summary, we can take a look at some of the other ones here on the list and see if there's anything else of interest. Now, I did mention that we take a quick look here. A lot of the indices showing up high, and I really like that for some possible long side action. Gold, not quite long biased yet, but I would like to take a look at gold regardless. It looks like it's shifting, like it's really shifting its momentum here. If you look at the daily chart, we have seemingly found a really nice bottom here down in the 17 to 1680 zone, which if we extend out, I just happen to know is a huge weekly level. Check this out. So the weekly level got tagged on gold, and sure enough, we rallied really strong here off of those zones. So to me, that seems like we could be finding a longer term low here that could equate to a bigger swing back the other direction, and perhaps even retest those highs at around 2050. So that's something I'm looking out for going into next week, is, continued bullishness on gold, and watching for, in my personal trading experience, looking for the edge finder flip bullish here. Perhaps we get something like COT data, maybe retail sentiment could be coming in soon, something to flip the switch to get us that buy reading that we're looking for. That for me would be confirmation to potentially look to get long on gold on retests and things like that. So that's how I'm approaching it. Now, if we take a closer look at price action, again, beautiful holding of breaks and retests. So if you're watching this thing and you're saying, okay, well, where's the trade? For me, retests like 1755 rather, somewhere in this area, to me just looks like strong continuation opportunities until proven guilty. So nice little breakout to the upside, momentum there. So we're looking for something like this, right? So retests here, continuations, and perhaps a second attempt down in the lows here. So, you know, you have something like this where it just depends how you like to do your stops. You might be very tight. Maybe you're looking lower time frame, like something like this. Kind of up to you. For me, if I was actually looking at a trade setup on gold, I would probably look at this level with the most serious possibilities. The 38.2 looks beautiful here for a retest buy. Stops below, market structure looking left. Yes, it's a bit of a stop size, but the idea here being that this could be the beginning of a much bigger move on gold, and so I wouldn't want to put my stop too tight to cut my chances of staying into a little bit of volatility, right? So I do like gold on a retest, potentially into the 1745, 1748, somewhere in that zone, around that 38.2% retracement. I do like for a technical buy, but again, for me personally, probably going to need to see the scanner flip to a buy reading before I can justify picking up a position. Oil still coming in as a buy on this reading, but again, really populating the top is the indices, specifically things like US30. So we could take a look at US30 here, see what's going on with this one. So US30 just had an explosive into the week, and that could carry over to some currency pairs as well. You have things like the Aussie pairs, the Kiwi pairs that could potentially benefit from a really strong equities market, as they tend to fall under that risk category. So pullback buys could be in order on this one and this one. You know, for me personally, I do like the indices long. I have a lot of stocks that I've been picking up and actually been trading the indices a little bit as well. So I've been long biased, I've been picking up trades, and things have been going really, really well on the stock rebound. So looking to see if we can get some more catch on that. And truthfully, I'll just to share a little bit of my experience. I've been looking to take some profits on things because I do think that, you know, despite there being a little bit of a risk on move here, we do have to be careful looking left because we still have a longer term downward trend that is trying to break out, but you just have to be very careful in a bear market because things could turn back around, and you don't want to just be holding on to the bag if this thing were to catch some higher time frame sellers to push us back underneath the lows. I don't think that this is going to happen necessarily, or want that to happen. I definitely don't want it to happen, as you can take a look at my stocks if you'd like to see. This is what my stocks look like, at least positions wise. These are stocks that I own. Let me see if there's any other ones. Yeah, that's pretty. I think that's all of them. I haven't updated the list in a little while, but I think I haven't made too many adjustments to my positions. Amazon, by the way, had a huge day. I don't know if anybody owns Amazon, but Amazon and Tesla last week were really big winners for me, which was awesome. So we'll see if we can catch some more upside on the S&P and things like that going into next week. Nice rally recently, so we'll see if that can hold. Back to the Edge Finder for a second. By the way, you guys, if you want to try out the Edge Finder, there will be a way to do that in the comment section. And if you would like to get the tool itself, you can get the Edge Finder right now for 40% off by using the link and promo code down below in the description. It'd be awesome to get some more people using the tool. If it's something that you've been thinking about getting, get it now for a 40% off discount using the code down below in the description. It comes with the Smart Money Tracker. We have a market heat map now, so you can see the strongest moving currency pairs each day. The home page is still under maintenance, but still it's looking pretty good. You can see a currency strength chart, indices strength chart, top buys and sells in terms of the metrics that we study, the biases there, as well as the scatter plot here. We have fundamental analysis. You can check in on things like interest rates and inflation and economic news calendar. We've really put in a tremendous amount of effort and honestly investment in building this tool. And it is something that a lot of people are loving so far. So if it's something you would like to do, again, take advantage of the 40% off sale in the description down below. So yeah, I do, there a lot of indices action here. And if we take a look, if we flip the script around to look at these sell signals, we've got to talk about some of these that I like. I like the euro shorts that are potentially setting up. So if I take a look, I have a euro dollar short open already, but there are some other ones that I was looking at towards the end of last week. We have EURNZD, so you can take a look at this if we zoom in a little bit on price. I like Euro New Zealand for potential shorts, and let me zoom in just a little bit more here. I'll show you this. So Euro New Zealand, the EURNZD currency cross came up to a level. I missed this trade. I didn't get a chance to enter this position, but I did look at it. Well, truthfully, I chose not to enter it. I chose not to enter it because I already had a euro short, and I don't like to pile too many of the same biased trades on at the same time. Despite that, beautiful little sell here, and to me looks like we have continuation plays back down to the lows. If you're looking at Euro New Zealand this week, I think we're personally probably headed back down here, and if there is a retest of resistance for me, Sunday, I potentially will look to get into that on a little bit of euro swing to the upside. So that's a level for me that I'm personally watching. Again, it has a really strong signal from our edge finder, so lots of different red categories. Unemployment favors going for the New Zealand dollar rather than the euro. Same thing with interest rates. There's higher interest rates in New Zealand. Inflation favors the New Zealand, right? GDP growth does favor euro. I guess I think New Zealand, if we take a closer look at price here, we can probably get an idea of that. But again, we'll come back to that in a second. So seasonality also favors, let me make sure I'm looking at, seasonality favors shorting this pair during the month of July. And let's see what goes on in, we'll take a look at GDP growth. So here it is. So this is the individual sheet. So with any currency pair or asset that you're looking at on the side panel, you can select it and get a full view of the chart. So for example, so GDP growth, comparing it, that's the one that favors the euro over the NZD. So 0.7% growth there compared to a minus 0.2% in New Zealand. So I'm looking more favorably in this category to euro. However, if we take a look at the other ones, we have unemployment higher in Europe, which is worse, right? So we are favoring New Zealand. Conversely, if we take a look at interest rates, there's a higher interest rate offered from New Zealand, which is a attractive thing to buy the currency. Finally, inflation is higher in Europe, and we know inflation is not good, so we're favoring New Zealand. So that's a strong sell. We get a lot of different categories here. And of course, if you'd like to pause the video, you can also read the entire text-generated description that our software has done as well. Again, this thing has come a long way. We'd love for more people to try it, and that's why we are giving out free copies, as well as if you want to get the full version, if you want access to the premium data, you can get so in the description. So I like this one for possible sells. I also like EURCAD, which was another sell signal here on the list. So let's go look here. EURCAD is another one that we've got on the watch list. So EURCAD is a -8, which is a very strong sell signal here. Downward trend, every category here in fundamentals actually favors, at least in terms of economic data here, comparison-wise from how we measure it, favors shorting the euro, buying the CAD. So if we go to the chart here, then we say, okay, well, our bias there from the edge finder is primarily short biased. Where could some short opportunities be? Well, it depends how you're looking at it. If you're looking at a daily chart, you could be making the argument maybe there's something like a break and retest of the previous structure lows. So maybe you're looking out for this week. That could be an idea, right? And then maybe if you're a lower time frame, you're saying, well, if we get pops to the upside, are we willing to potentially short this thing? Then you may be looking at levels, if we look left, like here, here, and here. So just depends your trading style, but again, for me, pops on any of the euro pairs that are listed on the edge finder for me right now are predominantly more interesting on the sell side with relatively tight stops. But again, I've already got my euro dollar short, so my big theme here going into the next week is it looks like most of the trades that I'm interested in are euro shorts. So we'll keep tabs on those and see what happens there. Remember, guys, get the edge finder if you want access. If you'd also like access to our Discord channel, you can see trades that are being taken by myself and my team. So for example, here are my trades. So if you want journaled trade alerts from my team, myself, Frank, whatever we're looking at, you can feel free to join that down below in the description as well. Use those promo codes to get super discounted rates on anything that we have available for being a YouTube subscriber. So big thank you for that. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and see you next time.